in from left, all in from right. I'd like to call this meeting, the Rockingham County Board of Commissioners, to order. It's a pleasure to see you all here tonight. If you do have electronic devices that make noise, not to include pacemakers, please silence them at this time, and we will proceed with this. We're going to start with our invocation, which tonight will be delivered by Pastor Wayne Robertson. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Wayne. We appreciate you being here. And if you'd all stand and remain standing, and after the invocation, Commissioner Berger will introduce the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you for inviting me to come and share a prayer with you tonight. Let us pray. God, you are the creator of this earth and everything that is in it, even each one of us. You created us in your image, and you know everything about us, and we thank you for that. You love us as no one else can love us, and you proved that by sending your Son, Jesus Christ, to die on the cross for us so that we might receive that gift of eternal life when our earthly life is through. We look about us in this troubled world. We see shootings and killings and fightings, and we cannot find an answer to it. You have the answer, and we pray and ask you that you would find some way to let us know how we can bring peace back into this troubled world that we live in at these particular times. We thank you for the leaders of this world, that you would guide them and direct them in the ways that you would have them to go, the leaders of our nation, the leaders of our state, and the leaders even here tonight of our county, that you would instill into them what you want them to do to make our place here on this earth better to live our lives in. We thank you for the gift of love that we cannot be taken away from us. We thank you for the gift of families, that we can be with our families and the love we share with them. Thank you again for all that you bless us with each and every day, and we know that you have blessings even stored up that we haven't even been aware of, and you want to give them to us. Sometimes all we have to do is but ask. We pray this in the prayer in the name of Jesus Christ, who is our Lord and Savior. Amen.
And next, for the Pledge of Allegiance, we have Miss Hallie Pratt. And Miss Pratt is the daughter of Jonathan Pratt, one of the school teachers in our school system at Central Elementary, and also Miss Brittany Pratt, who is an employee of our Register of Deeds. Miss Pratt. Everyone would please face the flag and give the appropriate salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Item 4 on our agenda is a resolution which I'm going to ask our county manager to read. And I'm going to ask all of the commissioners to come down front. And as soon as this has been read, those folks that wish to stand in honor of Mr. Matt Hall would be asked to join us up front. So, fellows, if we could go down as the manager gets ready to read.
Resolution honoring the dedicated public service and memory of Matthew Scott Hall. Whereas Matthew Scott Hall, a Rockingham County native, gave generously of his time and abilities from a young age, beginning his first responder career volunteering with the Shiloh Fire Department as a junior member. And whereas Matthew Scott Hall, an emergency medical technician, level 2 firefighter, and a North Carolina fire and rescue instructor, was a member of the Madison Rockingham Rescue Squad for 13 years, holding many leadership positions, and had served mostly recently as the assistant chief, was an engineer with the Summerfield Fire Department in Guilford County, and a member of the Swiftwater Rescue Team of Rockingham County, and also traveled statewide as an instructor. And whereas he previously was member of the Madison Fire Department, had worked with Walnut Cove Fire Department, Stokes, Rockingham Fire Department, was a volunteer at the Monroe and Bethany Fire Departments, was a part-time employee of the Eden Rescue Squad, and served in bordering counties, as well as teaching at Rockingham Community College and Forsyth Tech Community College. And whereas Matthew Scott Hall served faithfully and well the citizens of Rockingham County, being described by his fellow first responders as dedicated, selfless, caring, and that he lived and worked with a servant's heart. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Rockingham County Board of Commissioners that the memory of Matthew Scott Hall is hereby honored for his years of selfless public service to the citizens of Rockingham County. This, the 6th day of February, 2023. Mr. Chair.
If you folks would come on up, as spoke about.
Sorry.
We have Mom and Grandma. We're going to put you right dead center. Mom and Grandma here, and a representative of Emergency Services. And on behalf of all the commissioners, and indeed all the citizens of Rockingham County, I'd like to present this to you. And I hope you keep the pen to remind you that you are in a good place. And one of the reasons this is such a good place, she's got one, but we're going to give Grandma one. Okay. And one of the reasons that it is such a good place are people like Mr. Hall contributing of themselves on an ongoing basis. He was indeed a hero. Thank you so much. And I'll offer you the chance to speak, though you told me you didn't want to.
Just thank y'all so much.
Does Grandma want to say anything?
Well, I don't know really what to say. He was very dedicated. That's something that he always wanted to do.
Captain Pickram, you want to speak on behalf of the Emergency Services?
Yeah, Matt was always the leader. He was there before I got there. I always looked at him as not a kid, but he knew his stuff. He was a good guy. He was one of our first rescue babies. Me and my wife are considered the rescue parents, so we're the older of the group. And he was one of the first rescue babies that we had. We took him in. We had dinner with him whenever we could. Always training with him.
Yeah, I personally have seen him at numerous emergency sites. He was there. I'm going to ask you guys to stay here, take center stage, and it's a photo opportunity, Ms. Pickram.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. We're very proud of that. I understand. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Awful young guy. Gentlemen, you've had the agenda for a week or 10 days now and a chance to review. Is there a motion or comment regarding the agenda for this evening?
Mr. Chair, I believe we do have an addition on the agenda. We've got a new business item. It's apply for an recreational trail program grant for up to $100,000 for construction of trails and commitment of $25,000 in matching in-kind or volunteer service, and a commitment to complete the project within 3 years would be added under new business. With that addition, I'd make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion made
Consent.
and seconded. Further discussion?
Is there another item, Mr. Barrow?
I was under the understanding under the consent agenda approval for Houston Barrow to be added to the Solid Waste Committee.
Is there another? Okay.
You
I'm fine
can
with
add that here, or we can do it under consent.
Well, I'm fine with that addition as well. Yes, sir.
Understood. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by the sound of aye. Aye. Those opposed by nay. And acknowledging that the consent agenda has been adjusted, we'll be looking for a motion. For those of you not familiar with the consent agenda, these are non-controversial, generally non-controversial items. If you do have questions about anything here, either email or talk to our county manager, and he'll be glad to explain it. So, gentlemen, do I have a motion concerning the consent agenda?
Motion.
Have a motion?
Second.
And second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by the sound of aye. Aye. Those opposed by nay. Motion carries. It's time for public comment under item 7 of the agenda. And tonight we have one name, and Ms. Paula Rakestraw, if you would come forward and remind us of where you live, and we look forward to your comments.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners. It's good to see you. My name is Paula Rakestraw. I live at 595 Foxwood Road, Madison, North Carolina, 27025. I noticed on your agenda that y'all were getting an update from Spectrum. I just wanted to come and just say thank you. I know I was a thorn in a lot of y'all's sides about internet. I just want to say thank you. We have now received internet in our home, and it has been fantastic. I feel like I've stepped out of a time machine. But and we have also saved money as a family going with Spectrum. So I appreciate the work you guys have done and the support that you've given, and I appreciate the work that they've done too. Just want to say thank you.
Thank you. That's the only public comment we have for this evening. We're going to move on to item 8, which is public hearings, and we're going to start with Rodney Cates, our Emergency Service Director. Mr. Cates, how pleasant to see you.
Gentlemen, this item was on the agenda for January the 3rd. North State Medical Transport seeking a franchise agreement to operate in the county. They're going to operate out of UNC Rockingham Hospital. North State is already affiliated with the UNC system, predominantly from Raleigh east down to Newbern, where they do interfacility transfers for the UNC system. They want to bring that same service here to UNC Rockingham. And to officially do that, they have to be granted a franchise agreement. They were here January the 3rd. They did not understand they needed to be here tonight. I've talked to them a couple of times a day, but their plan is to bring one truck, operate one truck 24/7, 365, to do the interfacility transfers coming out of UNC Rockingham, the majority of which would be basic life support. They do have the ability to do advanced life support. They should staff their trucks ALS with paramedic and EMT, again, depending on their availability to staff them in that manner. Should we have a worst-case scenario, a mass casualty event, they can step out of that environment to help us with that in the county if we need them to do so. And that's part of their franchise agreement as well. So,
This is the second reading of that ordinance.
First.
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 Counts as first.
First public hearing, yes.
Gentlemen, any questions? Because we're going to hear this again.
we will.
Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you.
Item 9 is a presentation from Dr. Mark Kinlaw, or
Mr. Chairman, we have to have a public hearing.
stand by. With that said, any comments or considerations regarding this ordinance that involves the private ambulance service are now welcome in public hearing? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. And if anybody has thoughts or questions, they will have an opportunity before the next presentation.
Mr. Chairman, you have to vote to approve at this meeting the ordinance. And then the second meeting, we'll have another public hearing, and you'll vote again a second time to approve the ordinance. State law.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance.
Motion made, seconded. Further discussion? You know, I think we've done this wrong in the past. We trust you, implicit counselor. Thank you much. Motion made, seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by the sound of aye. Aye. Those opposed by nay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Now, we'd like to recognize representatives of Rockingham County Community College. I might mention to the public, ever since the quarter-cent sales tax was enacted in this county by vote, by referendum, we've asked the college to come to us periodically, generally every quarter, and update us on what's happening with that quarter cent, and that's what you're doing tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Tony Gunn. I'm Associate Vice President for Facilities and External Affairs at Rockingham Community College, and I'm here with Dr. Kinlaw, our president, to indeed give you an update on the college's use of quarter-cent sales tax. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about the quarter-cent sales tax, how we're using it. We'll tell you a little bit about our major project with that funds, the Center for Workforce Development. Talk a little bit about another project we're using quarter-cent sales tax money for. And then Dr. Kinlaw will give you some details about some programs and training going on to go on at the Center for Workforce Development. Since the quarter-cent sales tax revenues began, the college has received $8.3 million, and we spent a little over $5.4 million. Monthly revenue for the quarter-cent sales tax in recent months has kind of gone up and down, but for the last 7 months, it's averaged about $249,000. So if you take out the $150-some thousand for the loan payments for the Center for Workforce Development, that leaves the college getting a little bit less than $100,000 each month. And we're very appreciative of that money. We've been really able to transform the college, renovate a lot of classrooms, labs, do some things with technology. It's really been just amazing for our students. Let me give you an update on the Center for Workforce Development. The contractor, Bar Construction, started work on that on August 1st. They're now about 30% complete with the project. They've been working a lot on the site work, getting the foundation ready. A couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks ago, they poured one half of the slab for the building. That's a picture for that. And weather permitting, they'll pour the second half of the slab this coming Saturday. And then after that, we'll have the erection of steel, and the rest of the building will be going up. We've been very pleased with the contractor. They've been keeping a good crew on the project. We're very pleased with their progress. Another benefit of the project has been an important feature, a roundabout that we've added to the college. And this has really improved the flow of traffic coming in and going through the college. It's right in front of the administration building. As I mentioned, construction started 1st of August, and we are scheduled for completion about a year from now in January, and we're looking to start classes with the summer session that will start in May. Again, I want to tell you about another project that we're using quarter-cent sales tax money for, in addition to Connect NC bond funds and also some state capital infrastructure funds, and that's renovation of our Industrial Technologies 2 building. This is a building that was built in 1979. It hasn't had a whole lot done to it since, so we're very pleased to be able to renovate this building. We're going to put 2 new welding labs in that building. This is some construction documents. 2 new welding labs will enable us to expand our capacity, and so we're very pleased with that. We had asbestos abatement start in November, and our contractor started with that about a week ago, actually. And the timetable for that is 6 months. So we're looking forward to getting to that sometime next fall, we hope. These are some pictures of the demo work that's been done in that building. And again, we're very pleased to be able to get that project underway. Let me turn it over to Dr. Kinlaw to give you some background about the programs and training that's going into the Center for Workforce Development.
Which area is this side one?
Yep.
Okay. When we marketed the quarter-cent sales tax, and there's some in here that worked very hard on that, and we're very appreciative of it, appreciative of the citizens having confidence in the college to be a catalyst for workforce development. But when we marketed the concept, we talked about building the Center for Workforce Development, doing other renovations, as Dr. Gunn has talked about. We've been able to do some things to improve our labs and other things on our campus that relate to workforce development. But with all that, there still has to be a lot of work done behind the scenes to make sure that our programs are where they need to be, to meet what the workforce needs are. We have to be able to then work on a pipeline of students that will be able to come through these programs and receive training to go out and meet what industry is demanding. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've been doing there. We've just received some good news this past week. We were in competition with the rest of our community colleges in North Carolina for it's a grant process. The General Assembly gave $5.2 million in the state budget for startup of high-cost programs, but it was a competitive process. So there were 43 applications submitted to our community college system for about $20 million. Of course, that was $15 more million than what was budgeted by the General Assembly. So they awarded 14 of those. We were one of the 14. Excuse me. And so our grant proposal was to start a certified production technician program. So we've received, as you can see, $230,776 to start that program. It would allow us to buy some equipment that will go in the new facility, and also to employ a faculty member. This is a 176 contact hour program. It's 160 hours. Then the additional 16 is for soft skills training. There are 4 modules to this. It is portable across the United States through the Manufacturing Skills Standards Council. As you see, for each module, there's a certification. So if you complete 40 hours and get the first module, which is safety, and then you move and you want to complete the other 3 modules wherever you move in the United States, you'll be able to continue that training, so it's portable. And so you see the modules focus on safety, quality practices and measurement, manufacturing processes and production, maintenance awareness. In talking to our industry partners, about 80% of their workforce in some of our major industries in the county and also in this region, they are looking for production line employees. These are starting jobs. They're good jobs, and then at that point, once they become more familiar with how manufacturing works, then they can advance and come back and get additional coursework to become a technician, which takes that salary even higher. So this will be offered through our continuing education division. So we're excited about getting that one started. We will start that very soon. We will not wait until the new facility is built. We'll go ahead and start this program. We think this coming fall. We're also submitted to the North Carolina Community College System an application for a mechatronics engineering technology degree program. This will replace our industrial systems program. As you can see, it's a AAS degree, 2-year program, fall 2023 startup. It is a multidisciplinary type approach, which really, as you can see, is a combination of mechanical, electrical, computer skills to work with automated systems or robotics. This is more in line with what technician-level jobs in our county and in our manufacturing facilities and also in our region are looking for. So a lot of community colleges are moving more to mechatronics, and we'll be joining that. So that we do expect approval from the community college system, we think, in the next couple of weeks when the state board meets. Dr. Gunn did not talk much about the contents of the facility. He left that to me. So we've got, it's about a 42,000 square foot facility. This is the new Center for Workforce Development. You can see the programs that will be housed in there. It'll also house our small business center, our customized training office, where we work with industry in our county through a state program to provide customized training for our industry partners. We'll have corporate meeting space, about 200-seat capacity. Of course, faculty offices, a student lounge, so we think it'll have a very nice interior to the building. The other thing that we've got to work on, and I think the superintendent's back here behind me, and I know he's working on some things. We've already talked quite a bit. Looking forward to working with the public schools and their staff on a pipeline of students to enter our manufacturing programs and then be able to go out and work. One of the things that is helping with this, our foundation, we're fortunate to have a very large foundation for our college. So our foundation has donated $500,000 or designated $500,000 worth of scholarships just for programs served in our Center for Workforce Development. So that is one step toward helping with students that are financially in need of help to go to school. So the scholarships will certainly help with that. Rockingham Promise, I'll talk about that in just a minute. We're working on high school career pathways where students can earn a certification while they're in high school by taking courses with us, training in our facilities, and then eventually coming over to us to complete more training and complete their degrees. So there is a renewed focus on career and technical education. I know the superintendent's working on this with his staff. We're excited about that focus because we feel like that's very important. We're always going to do college transfer at our college so they can transfer to a university, but I am more concerned about being able to grow our own here and get in career and technical fields and get the training they need to stay in this county, in this region, to be able to live and work. So that's some of what we're working on. So Rockingham Promise is a program where we have launched this with help from the Reidsville Area Foundation through a grant program that allows our faculty at our college to go out and teach in the public schools, but they can take things online with us and they can come to our campus as well. But if they take at least 3 college courses while they're in high school and they have a 2.5 or higher on those courses, and then they can maintain good standing while they're with us, and other eligibility requirements, they can earn a tuition-free scholarship for 2 years at our college. And so that's an exciting program to launch. Reidsville Area Foundation is funding a lot of this right now. Once that funding is exhausted, then our RCC Foundation will step in to continue that program. But I wanted to share this purpose statement that we've been working on with a consulting firm with the public schools. And this is exciting to me, and it's, if you look at Rockingham Promise exists to provide equitable opportunities and resources for all Rockingham County high school students. Our goal is to establish a foundation for a strong, skilled workforce, stimulate economic development, and foster a community where people want to live, learn, and work. The focus is on career and technical education. So when this is going to really cause us as a college and as a public school system to really focus a lot more on career and technical opportunities for students while they're in high school. And I think this is a big step forward for us as a county, as your educational institutions are working together to create more opportunities for our students. I'm real excited about where our purpose statement landed for our Rockingham Promise that we've been working on. So that's exciting. And I just mentioned a few things that are part of the Rockingham Promise, got a little ahead of myself and went ahead and gave you some of the details to it. That we think that program, there are others like it across the state, but I don't think there's many of them across the state that really zero in on career and technical education. Now, that doesn't mean a student can't take courses with us in English, math, and transfer that to a university. We'll still do that as part of the program, but we really want to make sure there's a real focus on career and technical education. The current focus right now with our building is, as Dr. Gunn and a lot of our staff at the college are working on the facility, and I can't say enough about what Tony has done to manage our projects, and Caleb Rohr is also someone that manages our project along with Tony. They've done a fantastic job to manage the quarter-cent sales tax projects that we have undertaken so far and doing a fantastic job for us. But now the focus is shifting to how do we equip the building. We want to make sure that when we start classes, we think we'll be able to start classes in the summer of '24, finish up probably in January, as Tony talked to you about, and then be able to move all of the things that we need to move in. But we've got to get equipped. So we're taking a look at other resources that are out there that the college can possibly attain to help us with equipping the building. We want to make sure that we have the best equipment for our students to train on so they're ready to go to work. So naming rights opportunities, we have a brochure for that, and I'll get you, all you gentlemen, a copy of that in the next few days. But we are focused now on how do we equip the building, identifying equipment needs, ordering those equipment pieces over the next several months. So that's where we are. Dr. Gunn and I will be glad to answer any questions that you might have, but we certainly appreciate your support as commissioners and also our county manager for the quarter-cent sales tax. It will transform our college over a period of time without question, and all those that worked on it, and of course the public that has supported it. So any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Yes, sir. Dr. Kinlaw, can you, it's maybe off subject of this particular building we've been talking about. You have a carpentry course going, is that correct?
We do. We have a site over in Reidsville off of Scale Street, and Dr. Gunn can probably talk a little bit more about this than me, but we have renovated that facility. It was primarily woodworking. We still have woodworking there, but we've gone in and renovated that for construction trades. Eventually, we would like to move that to campus, but right now it's a very nice building for it, so we have actually started some construction trades, and we'd like to do more of that. So yes, that is off the ground and running, and I think that was also a quarter-cent sales tax project for us.
So you also have, I believe you do HVAC at the main campus
Yes,
over here.
we do.
You do that. And so you're doing electrical, is that correct?
Right. The HVAC we had in the building that we have now cleared out for welding, and we've moved that to our Industrial Technology 1 building, and we've done some renovation in that for HVAC. And once we are able to move everything out of Industrial Technology 1 that will go to the new building, we'll have additional space that we'll take a look at for making HVAC even larger. But we've got a really nice area right now for HVAC. I'd like to make it a little bit larger than what we have, so there are plans for that down the road. But so that's been a good project for us as well.
So the only core construction activity that we don't have over there now maybe is plumbing?
Plumbing,
Is that
that's
correct?
something
Yeah.
we'll be looking at, yes.
Well, you know that you certainly know how I feel about those, and I hope that we can work together with the school system to
Sure.
create that pipeline, because it's
Yep.
very needed. Thank you for
Yep.
what you're doing.
Absolutely, thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. Dr. Kinlaw, I heard a couple of things, and I didn't necessarily hear that they were pieced together, and I just want to ask you about that. So the certified production technician training, you indicated that was continuing education.
Yes.
And I also know that you work closely with the high schools, and I've had some conversations with some of your board members, some of you trustees, and then also with the school board members with the school system about the need for the training for the certified production technician to also be in the high school.
Right.
And I'm hoping that that is part of what you're leading.
We'd like to do that, and we did not used to be able to have that authority, but the General Assembly made some changes a couple of years ago that now allow us to offer continuing education in the in the high schools. We didn't used to be able to do that. It all had to be on the curriculum side or the degree side, but we can offer continuing education in our high schools. But yes, that is what we would like to be able to do. Absolutely.
And that would be next fall, the high
Yes,
school.
we'll be ready to go
available for the high
with,
school
yes, one of the
kids.
things to be able to teach with that program, you've got to be certified. We do have one gentleman that is certified. We're getting another faculty member certified as well. But yes, we would like to do that. But in fact, we've just posted the faculty position. We'll try to fill it as quick as we can. But yes, we'd like to do it in high schools.
Yes, okay, good, because we've, over the years, have missed out on a large number of our high school students and offering them something before we lose them. So thank you. Appreciate your
Yeah, so
leadership.
the emphasis that I'd like to see, we want to see more students leaving high school with some kind of certification. If they want to take that and go to work, like they would be able to do with the CPT program, or if they want to take that and come to our college and finish a degree, they'll have those options as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I've got a couple, these are kind of nip-nap, but you talked about the 40-hour modules for the training. That's spread over how much time, each 40-hour module?
They could answer that a lot better than I can, but.
Is it 6 weeks or 8 weeks?
Yeah, it's 6 to 8 weeks most likely, but it's just 40 contact hours that they have to meet to get the certification. Of course, they have to test at the end of it, but yes, that's about right.
We're glad to see you got a little dry weather, and maybe you can make some more progress.
We'd like some dry weather. That would be nice.
On the workforce building. I'm curious, how much additional staff do you anticipate needing when that facility is full up?
We'll need, we're going to have staff that help us maintain the facility. You know, we'll need custodial staff, maintenance staff, and then we're taking a look at staffing just in general now as we head into the spring, see what the General Assembly does as far as funding for us. But we probably can't even make those decisions until then. But the faculty that will be in there are about what we have now. I mean, we'll be able to shift our faculty over. And with this, of course, the certified production technician, that'll be an additional faculty member. But we're assessing all of that now, and I really probably can't tell you exactly what we're looking at there until we know a little bit more from our system office and General Assembly as we get into the spring. But our additional staff we know will be able to help us maintain the facility. That will be a need without question.
Yeah, and we're going to talk just a little bit tonight about trails. You've got a new trails person, the trails program in general, and the Duke support. When is that going to, as far as the coursework and the preparation for those individuals interested in that credential, when does that crank up and what's it consist of?
Well, that program is offered now. It's environmental planning and development. That's the degree program that that Martha Beckton, who is our trails director now, she will be working on for transfer purposes to some of the universities in our state. So she's working on that now. But that program it's up and running. It's there. So she's going to be working hard to get some things done from an infrastructure standpoint, relationship standpoint, and then we're really going to push for enrollment. But we're also running things on that's the degree side. We're also running some trails courses on the continuing education side as well. That'll continue.
Other questions? Look forward to hearing you in another 3 months or so,
Okay.
and thank you very
Hopefully
much
we'll
for
have
what
something
you
for you to see out there with that building going up. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Moving to item 10, Justin Delancey, how appropriate that you got a compliment this morning, or this evening, huh?
It was a great primer. I really do appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. Let's see.
I'm going to let you tell everybody who you are. And
Yes, sir. Give me just one moment. We got that one. All right. Does that look right for everyone? Justin Delancey with Charter Communications. Everyone probably knows us better as Spectrum. Thank you guys for the invitation to come speak tonight to provide you with an update on our broadband project. Also want to take the time to thank the county, also partners with the Reidsville Area Foundation, the community colleges and the local school system for this project. It's really a groundbreaking project for the state. We're excited about it. So I want to give you a quick project overview, talk about the construction process for one of our projects, where we are in that process, and then I assume we're going to have probably some robust questions about where we are and then going forward. So let's see, best way. So to start you off, this project, we like to talk about this project as being a complete connector for the county for broadband. Everyone has seen, I'm sure you've heard from your constituents, broadband is really turning into being a key utility for individuals to be able to work, to be able to get medicine, healthcare, really be a part of 21st century America and North Carolina. So we're really excited to kind of bring that to the county. This particular project, at this point in time, is about 4,300 passings. That includes homes and businesses. That is this project, and then we'll also talk about the RDOF project, which is a Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. That's a federal grant that Charter is building separate and apart, but our construction teams will be building the RDOF builds as well as this county build together at the same time. So there won't be a lag between when citizens that may be in an RDOF area get service and citizens that are in this grant will get service. Of course, homes and businesses will get complete fiber to the premise, which will allow them to have top-tier industry service. Those service offerings are going to include TV, internet, home phone, and Spectrum also has a mobile service as well that citizens will be eligible for. The deadline for completion of this project is January 2024. As you can see, this is spread out very generously across the county. We hit every corner. You're probably wondering what the different colored dots are. They're all address points that we've identified as unserved in the county after our walkout. We'll speak in a few minutes more about what a walkout is, but basically the green dots are dots that we identified in a desktop design Then your yellow dots are dots that we added to the project after our walkout. Red dots are businesses and/or homes that we've added after the walkout. And then you may see a purple dot scattered here and there. Those appear to be vacant properties that were either included in the desktop design that need to be taken out or just kind of left out there to see kind of where they go during the course of this project. But the main point of this slide is just to see that this really affects every corner of the county, every community. Everyone's getting something out of this project. I will offer, if you guys have any questions, feel free to interrupt. It won't throw me off or anything, and I'm happy to handle that however you guys want to do it. Want to talk to you about our typical build process. We have a few different phases: walkout, design, permitting, make ready, construction, and activation. Whenever we begin a construction project, we start out with a walkout, which is exactly how it sounds. We've got either contractors or Spectrum employees that will physically walk or drive every single foot of a proposed project. This particular project was about 369 miles of walkout. So it's not a small task, right? And you guys know your county, it's not flat. So we had to hop on some ATVs at some point. It was a really interesting walkout. During that walkout, we survey the heights of the poles, the conditions that the poles are in, because we attach to power poles to bring the internet to homes. And we sort of take every measurement that we possibly can so that we can create an in-depth design plan for the project. When we create a design plan, we do everything from plan out how many feet of cable we're going to need, how many feet of fiber. We plan out where we're going to have drop boxes. We plan out where anything and everything that we think we're going to need to plan, we do it in that design phase. Next, we have our permitting and make ready. While they're two separate stages, they kind of run concurrently, so I like to talk about them concurrently. In permitting and pole access, we have to work with the pole owners to get access to each individual pole that we're going to be hanging on to. It's a negotiation for every pole. Sometimes those negotiations go well, sometimes they don't, and that can really either speed up or hinder the process of construction in a project. We've been, I think, very fortunate in the county so far that our permitting and make ready has gone very well. Make ready, of course, there are times when we have old poles that need to be replaced before we can add on, and so that'll slow us down. But as you can see, that's just part of the construction process. We'll replace poles, and then and then on to your typical construction activities. We've got guys, you'll see them in the bucket trucks. They'll string line, they'll string cable, we'll connect the individuals' houses, and then as soon as that connection is made, people can be activated for service. It's a very quick, general description of what we're doing and what's going on. Where we are currently in the process, we have completed the walkout and the design. We are going through the permitting and make-ready process, and we have actually begun construction. We've hung about 36 miles of cable and fiber. We've started, if you go in Eden and come down 700 to Oregon Hill Road, that's sort of the area that we're working on right now, and we'll continue to kind of wrap around the county as we have permitting available to keep going. We've got 6 crews working steadily every day in the county right now, and we feel very confident that we're going to hit that January due date. So we feel like we're in a really good place right now. those are all sort of the prepared remarks that I had. I assume there will be some questions. I'm happy to take questions from the commission, from anybody that has any.
Gentlemen?
I just want to make sure that people at home are aware of the ability to plug in their address to make sure that you get the information that you need to make sure they're on the list. I believe that's on our website. Is that right, Lance?
Sir. Yes, sir.
And is there any certain thing on the website? I hadn't looked at it in a while. So is there any certain thing on the website they need to look for?
Derek, is it?
There are two different ways on the website. On the main page, there's a broadband button that people can click on that takes them straight to that page, or you can just type in rockinghamcountync.gov/broadband, and it takes you straight to the page. So we have a hot link that goes straight to it, or a button click on the main page. And if they submit their address, it'll say they're active as part of this project. If they're not, it goes into a database that me and Christy review that we then share with Spectrum.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I've had at least one call about stringing these in this wet weather, and I understand, being a general contractor, that you are up against it. So for the public out there, there's 360-some miles that you're doing. Not all of them are through gullies and kudzu fields. Some of them are through well-maintained lawns. Is there a process that your company has for going back and helping these people repair that at some appropriate time when the weather is more conducive to that?
Absolutely, and we make, so, one, we don't ever want to leave a site. It's our goal and our contractor's goal to never leave a site worse than we found it. But as you know, there are some times when it's unavoidable, or, when a contractor may get a little careless. If those instances happen, we have, if a customer searches online, we have online information on how to get in touch with us, or if they reach out to you or Mr. Metzler, to Derek, I'm easily accessible, and we'll take care of it very quickly.
Thank you.
It's something that we really try hard to make sure that we're not a nuisance or an inconvenience to customers as we come through and establish service.
Keep rolling, don't slow up. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You first.
Mr. Delancey, you used the term, I believe, groundbreaking when you were describing the project that we're doing. Just for anybody that may be watching this not familiar with this project, could you just kind of give an overview of how this compares to what's going on in other parts of the state?
So this was the first complete county build in the state, and as far as I'm aware of, maybe the second deal in the southeast region of the country. This is truly, when you talk about a local government entity partnering with a private provider on this scale, there have been some small scale partnerships in the past where you look at doing a block of addresses here, a block there, but when we talk about doing, what we're trying to do with this project, an almost complete county build out, it's truly unprecedented. And especially when you fold in having the nonprofit partners that you have, the education partners that you have in the county, and making this work, it was truly something different, and something that we're really grateful to be a part of. I can say that once you guys kind of set the tone, a lot of counties became very interested in trying to figure out how they could do something like that. You guys really set the stage for the future of growth in the state.
Thank you.
Sir.
You also, in one of the slides, it mentioned mobile phones.
Yes, sir.
I know I've had a lot of folks at least comment to me, and I've had some not so great experience with mobile coverage in our county. I know there's multiple carriers.
Yes, sir.
What kind of impact would what you're laying as far as the wiring have on mobile phones and maybe greater access?
So what this would do, whenever, how we set up our mobile phone service is, it sort of acts off of the Wi-Fi in your home. So when you're in your home and you've got your internet, your phone is operating through your home Wi-Fi. So you don't really have to worry about if your home is near a cell phone tower or away. It's basically a VoIP phone at that point in time operating over your internet. And then when you go out into the community, it acts as a traditional cell phone feeding from a tower. If there are any public Wi-Fi spots, it will hone in on that. I mean, it's, and I have an iPhone, it's the same brand name phones as every other carrier, same service capabilities as every other carrier. It just latches on to your home internet as a primary focus.
Other questions? I've got one. I think since a lot of times we feel like a complaint department, but I'm going to pass one on to you. Don't feel picked on, because usually I pass them on to Mr. Southern back there, and he's quite good. But the frustration from some would-be customers when they see your trucks stopping short of their homes by sometimes 100 yards or so, and their neighbors have service and they don't.
And so what I would do is certainly urge you guys, if someone comes to you with a case like that, let me know. We never really know, kind of what the issue is there. It could be the design is set up as such where we've got one group bringing in fiber from one direction, they stop. We've got another group bringing in fiber from another direction, and there's going to be a connection in front of those houses. I'm doing a much smaller scale build in Caswell County right now, and that's just how the design has set up in some places in Caswell, where we've literally had some addresses just kind of be that connection point, and maybe one neighbor has service a week ahead of another neighbor or something like that. So reach out to us, let us know when you hear that. There are a lot of things that we can do to extend service certain distances. We will be as flexible as we possibly can to make sure that everyone that can get served within a reasonable manner will get served.
Excited to have this improvement in service, and we appreciate all the efforts you're making on behalf of our county. Are there other questions for Mr. Delaney? It only remains to thank you very much.
Well, thank you, guys, and look forward to keep working with you, and we'll get something. I think we're going to end up with something really great out of this project. Yes, sir.
Mr. Manager, we have an additional news.
Yes, sir. We have a discussion on the recreational trail program, and I'd ask that Mr. Tate come forward.
Good evening, gentlemen. First of all, thank you for letting me slide this in under new business. I appreciate your flexibility with it. And so I have a request for the board to approve for application for recreational trails program grant for up to $100,000 for construction of trails on our governmental center campus. Most of these will be located off of Cherokee Camp Road in that area that way. Commitment of $25,000 in matching volunteer or in-kind labor, and a commitment to complete the project within 3 years. And I've got just a few general notes. If you'll let me just bear with me, let me just read those. So the trail is going to be professional construction of 2.25 miles of recreational natural surface trail to connect to the existing historic trails on the county property and to the newer trails and sidewalks. The project will provide a greatly expanded multi-use recreational option for the county, its residents, visitors, and county employees. Let's see. It will also be a major benefit for the health and wellness of the county staff to use. It'll provide access for walkers, runners, hikers, and bikers, and be sustainably designed and built to provide interest and enjoyment to these groups. It's also should be noted that it'll be a low-maintenance trail The designer and contractor is Round Rock Design. Tony McGee, we did an RFQ process back in July and selected him to be the designer and contractor for that. Timeline is looking to start within 60 days of grant award with hopefully trail completion in May of '26. There is no, I'm not requesting a dollar match for this request tonight. We have had some limited talks with the town of Wentworth, and we're hoping that we can work out to where we can get a trailhead set between the old Wentworth School and our agricultural center. Hopefully use their parking there. They've got a nice area to park. And we'll be talking with them in the future about further involvement with the county on the Trails program. And I'll be glad to try to answer any questions you all have tonight.
I'm sure we're going to have some questions, but before we start, do you have the grant timeline?
I don't know that's, I know the grant, the application is due, I think in the next week or week and a half. That's why the urgency of getting here tonight. I don't know when the award will be, though. I do not have that.
Thank you. Gentlemen?
Well, Ronnie, I know I talked to you, didn't know this was going to be on, talked to you for a couple of minutes before the meeting. And, one of my concerns is at the very last meeting, we decided to table as far as a organizational plan for recreation until such time, I guess you can say, it was better organized. And then here we are, the very next meeting, we've got a trail coming to us with a quick turnaround deadline, which is kind of, I guess you can say, gives me heartburn. But with that, I am a little bit more comfortable that there's no financial commitment from the county.
Right.
I do have some concern of what the maintenance commitment is, and you said from the county moving forward, when we started down this trails path, I guess it's been 6 years ago. First I heard of anything with trails really had to do with Blues, the Duke Power property out in the Ellisboro area. And everything at that point in time was presented to me that the college was taking the lead. Mm-hmm. Everything since then seems that the county's taking the lead. And so it's kind of evolved to a county project or issue from 6 years ago or so. And that I'm not real comfortable with. So do we have a plan moving forward as to how this is going to look?
Well, I think for this particular trail, a big component of it is in how Tony's going to design and construct it to be a low-maintenance trail. Now, I don't think there's any way to have one without any maintenance, but the construction of it will be that there should not be or should be very little maintenance. It has to be done. The occasional tree falling on it or something like that may have to be cleared. And again, I think for this one, it would go back to trying to rely on volunteer or in-kind labor to remove that, or volunteers to help with that during maintenance.
And I believe just before the meeting and some reference to this at some point was some communication with the town of Wentworth.
Yes.
There.
So I've spoken with their administrator over there, Yvonne. She's talked to Mayor Pascal. He did convey to her that they were okay with a possible trailhead between the two facilities down the road here in use of their area for parking. Now, they did not commit to any funds. And I've had real limited communications with them. Yvonne was out sick today. She was trying to go between for us. So in the future, Mr. Metzler and I would like to meet with their representatives and talk to them what opportunities there are for their support for this.
And I think it really gets to the point of, and Commissioner Barrow said something along these lines at our last meeting. We keep inching towards either a bigger department or an additional department with county government, which is
No,
not what-
no, we don't want that. We want less government, not more.
right.
Yeah.
And so, but we keep inching towards what
Trust me,
appears to be.
under my watch, we're not going to ask for Parks and Recreation Department. I can assure you of that.
Right. And, I mean, I think that's the hesitancy
Right.
is where things keep inching towards, and it's just uncomfortable.
Say this, I got the paperwork for them to present, or for me to present to you all for the application late the other week. I submitted it for y'all to review. And so we get, I sort of got this a little bit behind too, like you did. And but our goal is always to, as County Manager said, is not to create another department, but to bring you these things. It's $100,000 if they're awarded it. It's a large sum of money and it'll go a long way over here for a trail. So I understand the board's concerns about maintenance and department and all. But again, my goal, at least while I'm here, is not to create another department and not to get into some type of maintenance scenario like that.
And I will say that I think it's a great thing for this community, and I think it's good for our employees when they're on break or after work to have a place that they can walk, get some fresh air. I think the concern is, where are we headed? So,
We'll make sure we watch that very carefully.
yes, sir.
If I could just piggyback off Kevin for a minute. So I'm not trying to pick on you, Ronnie, because I know we just went through this a couple of weeks ago. But it's frustrating to me that we were just talking about trails 2 weeks ago, and this wasn't brought up. And now there's this pressing deadline that we have to address. And I would rather that not happen going forward if we can help it. I mean, it's just, it sort of puts us in a certain kind of position when it says, we need you got to do this now.
I agree.
And we just requested that we reevaluate things, And then my other I have a couple questions. One, how much of this trail is county property versus property for Wentworth?
As it stands right now, and I hope you all still have the packet, the trail design as it's submitted now in there is all county property.
Okay.
Like I said, just sort of got the communication with Mayor Pascal today, and with the, sort of the go-ahead to look at a trailhead between the two buildings. So that would place a small section of the trail on the Wentworth School property as it descends down and heads towards county property. I don't know the exact length of what that component will be, but there will be a part of it that is on Wentworth property.
But they've essentially said that's not a problem. I mean, that's your understanding. Okay. My other question was that 2 weeks ago, you expressed to us that in order for us to get grants, we had to have a master plan. And now you're telling me we can get a grant and we don't need a master plan. So I'm confused by that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to answer that one, to be honest with you, but.
That's an honest, thank you.
This is probably a little bit different from what we were looking at with the other, because the master plan for comprehensive recreation would also address things like ball fields and soccer fields and things like that, those potentials. This is strictly just for a recreational trail here for this grant.
I just was seeking some clarification because it seemed very definite last time that if we did not have a master plan, we were not going to get grants.
Well, and that is for for part of funding, those type agencies, federal funding, those types of grants.
Okay.
This is I guess a state grant, and you can get those without it. So.
Thank you, Ron.
All right. Yeah, so Ronnie, I think Commissioner Barrow brought up something that concerns me, is that you know, the timing of this. You know, we're up against, I think, the 10th or something that this has to be turned in, or next year. I think you said within the next week. Or
Yeah, I think Lance, is it the 17th? Is that right? I think it's 13th or the 17th. It's one of
The
those.
next meeting.
Yeah. But it was before we could meet again.
Yeah, so I think the first notification that I know of any commissioners have was in a meeting that you had with Charlie and somebody a week or so ago. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That was a week ago from today. We had a facility and grounds meeting. Yes, sir. That is correct.
But now this grant's been available for how long? I mean, how long?
I do not know, Commissioner Powell. It got passed along to me from Jenny Edwards and from Tony to bring to you all to apply for through the county.
So I would echo what Mr. Barrett said. Sometimes I feel like that we're presented stuff at the very last minute, just so it puts pressure on us to make a quick decision. So I know since I've been on the board, we've had to call at least one special meeting to consider other requests for other departments or the school system, in which we were up against a pretty hard deadline. And so that I would, there again, I would echo what Commissioner Barrett said. Those are the things that kind of give me heartburn. I'd like to have these things in the works a little bit sooner so that we can, in this case, I think what come out of your facilities meeting was to go to Wentworth and talk to them about the possibilities of putting some money in this project or maintaining this should we get the grant and be able to build that, because that will certainly be something that'll have to be looked at if we build the trail. There will be some maintenance by your own commission there.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if we could have started earlier, we could have had this discussion with Wentworth before today, or getting back to them getting back to us today. So in the future, I would appreciate that.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Who grants the grant?
Grants the grant.
State, I think you said.
I'm assuming it's through a state agency, the Recreational Trails Program. So.
I think that's who part of our concern would be directed to, is whoever's providing. We appreciate the money.
Mm-hmm.
That's great stuff, but
Yeah.
to avoid what my fellow commissioners were talking about in delays. Further questions or discussions, gentlemen?
I think I have just one last comment. And Ronnie, this is not really to you, but maybe you could take it back. So in our packet, we had several letters, people showing their support. And I don't want to get into exactly who said what, but there's one phrase here that I did want to, it just sort of got me a little bit. So I just wanted to go over it. It says, overall, I believe the trail would be a valuable addition to our race series and would be well received by our participants. I encourage you to fund it. Sincerely, a business in Greensboro. And I just thought that was a very bold way to say, I think it'd be great if the taxpayers in Rockingham County paid for something that would benefit us here in Greensboro. So in these letters of endorsement people sent to us, I'd really appreciate it if it said something a little more constructive than that going forward. Thank you.
Okay.
The impression that this MOU is going to be scrutinized a little bit. Further questions, gentlemen, comments? Okay. But before I ask for a motion, I do appreciate you. It was the full consent, unanimous consensus amongst us that we felt like that the loop had not been closed last Friday, and that's why I asked you to make those conversations. We really needed to know what Wentworth was going to do before we considered the matter. That said, do we have a motion concerning?
So my question is, do we know what Wentworth is going to do?
Other than what I've reported to you all tonight. So
we meet Friday, so maybe we should table this and to finish this on Friday.
Well, the vote tonight is to proceed with the grant funds. We can still meet with the town of Wentworth, and it's going to take some time to meet with them and go, because they still have quite a bit of money from ARPA funds that they haven't utilized.
If I'm not mistaken, I think if we're awarded, you all still have to approve it at a later date, the acceptance of that funding. So you'll probably be seeing this again.
I've played that game before.
help.
Importance of this MOU to support
Yeah.
Mr. Berger there.
Yeah.
I have one question, maybe for Lance. So what we're being asked to agree to is up to $25,000 in in-kind contribution.
Of just labor or volunteer labor. No financial.
Yeah, I understand. I guess what I'm trying to get at is, I don't think I could create, if I volunteered, I don't think I could do $25,000 worth of volunteer work. How much of a strain is this going to put on our staff? Do you think our staff is interested in helping us with this? I mean,
It's over a 3-year period. It's like $8,000 a year, and I'm sure during that time we'll do that much work between my time, Ronnie's time, his staff's time. That should be fairly easily met.
okay, thank you.
I'll make the motion to proceed. But that is certainly not a commitment to make the motion to accept it.
The motion made, and I think his last statement is, we're going to see it again to accept the grant.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second.
Motion made and second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by the sound of aye. Aye. Those opposed by nay. Again, thanks for the legwork.
All right. Appreciate it, Jim.
The things you have to do to get $100,000 nowadays. Any other new business, Mr. Manager?
No, sir.
Go to commissioner comments, and if you would, Mr. Barrow.
Yes, sir. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Appreciate the updates from the college and from Charter. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, no comment. Thank you.
Mr. Powell.
Yes, so I too would like to thank Spectrum for the work that you're doing, and like I said, don't slow up, keep going. To the college, Dr. Kinlaw, your counterpart, I would say that I appreciate what you're doing. We've been talking for quite some time about vocational education or technical training, or whatever way you want to express that, and it looks like that we're making some steadfast movements in those directions, and I couldn't be more pleased with the college's participation in that. In addition to that, I want to just give a big shout out to our EMS and Sheriff's Department, fire departments and stuff. This past week, we had the unfortunate experience of having a serious accident in front of my office with the 4 teenagers from Reidsville Senior High School. Being the first one on the scene there and trying to help those young men with their injuries, it was quite a comforting sound to hear those sirens cranking up around Reidsville and knowing that help was coming in. And even in the chaos, our EMS personnel were very thorough, very comforting, and it was just a joy to watch them work in an unfortunate accident and an unfortunate set of circumstances. So again, we have great people, a great organization, and I certainly do appreciate them countywide. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Berger.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Do want to recognize elected officials. We did have Ms. Paula Rakestraw with the school board here with us tonight. I want to thank her for attending. And I too want to thank Spectrum for the update and everything that you're doing. Certainly appreciate the ability to partner with you and bring high-speed internet to the county. Dr. Kinlaw, and I appreciate you and Dr. Guns being here and giving us an update. We certainly look forward to everything that you have to offer and the expansions that you have going on there at RCC. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Again, I'd like to recognize, offer condolences and appreciation to the family of Matt Hall for them to attend. And I couldn't help but notice the Reidsville Area Foundation is represented tonight, and they've done so much for this county in a multiple number of ways. And so, Dawn Sharaba, thank you for coming to our meeting tonight. I'd like to remind anybody listening to this that February, March is our food month, and you will see signs posted in a variety of places, certainly around this building. I know at some churches and other public areas about opportunities to give food to the food drive for Rockingham County, which will be dispersed by a variety of charities, but all of that food goes out. I really appreciated the conversation from the Rockingham Community College, and I happened to be listening to a commentary today on that talked about over $500 million in Pell Grants went unclaimed in the state of North Carolina in the last school year. And I think this is kind of sad, especially here in this county where our community college has developed this program of promise, which allows a reasonable student, not the super hot, a chance to develop the skills to carry on a career that's well-paying and well-serving of the community. All this leading to the fact that I want to encourage families, uncles, aunts, grandparents, parents, friends, neighbors, encourage our young people in particular, but anybody else that is seeking a better position, a better way of life, contact the community college. And if you're still in high school, your guidance counselor has many options. Many of the options don't cost you any money. And I know our college has been giving Pell Grants ever since I've been aware of it. So there is ample opportunity. I want to recognize our Senator Phil Berger. He was on national TV the other night making some comments that I thought were very well represented. And today he was on this statewide presentation regarding education. And I wanted to bring to you a comment that was simple and yet very true, and that is education is opportunity. And if we're not in that boat ourselves, perhaps we can encourage and help other folks to take advantage of those educational opportunities. Unless there are further comments from the Board of Commissioners, I would entertain a motion to recess. And the recess meeting will be, I don't want to get this confused, this Friday, 2:30.
Yes, sir.
And the regular meeting will not be until February 20th.
Right.
So, motion made and seconded. Further discussion? Hear none. All in favor indicate by the sound of aye. Aye. We stand adjourned.